Oh,
Shawn,
Okay.
that's a great shirt. That's an amazing shirt.
I
right
like
there.
that.
Okay, guys, let's conversate.
We have to still talk.
Shawn,
She's still doing
how about you
levels.
do your question?
Must I do
Oh,
my
are we
question?
literally starting?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
All right.
Oh, really, guys?
I thought we
Well,
saw.
yes, no,
that's
we
how
are.
we do it.
What are some of the biggest lessons you have learned in the past?
Okay, how far past are we talking?
What, general life lessons? Is this to do
Like
with business?
yesterday?
I don't know.
Okay.
Past? What are some of the
So-
biggest lessons you've learned in the past?
So, yeah, just before he read his card now, we had a conversation about that of talking and where you said, where you listened to that recording of yourself and you wish you hadn't spoken that much. So for me, a big thing, a big learning has been to not to try and have to know it all and to just listen and especially in a work sort of, you feel like you want to help the situation and you want to allow the situation to go well and for everyone, you know, to understand the project, but then you often speak too much and you often sort of hog the conversation. Whereas when you step back a little bit, it will still end up, yeah.
And you know, I also find that in my work, because as a salesperson, you're like all the time having to sell something to someone. But sometimes you can sell better by first listening to them and
What they
their
want,
needs,
yeah.
what they want. And then you know what to say, because now you're selling this green screen and then they're actually looking for a red carpet
Yes.
at the end of the day, you know?
No, listening is definitely a biggie, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to force our perspective of life on someone else.
Exactly, exactly.
This is how it is. No,
Yeah.
I think
it's
for
not
me,
like that.
I'm slightly more introverted, so I'm not as big on the speaking front. I don't have that much of a problem there. It's more not being as reserved. I've wandered through life being a good person, cautious, safe, but then you get into the entrepreneurial space and you learn that that's not how you break through and that's
Yeah,
not
you
how
have to
you
be.
stay and remain relevant. Yeah. So I'm having to unlearn a lot of these habits of just constantly being. And this applies to so much of my personal life as well. Opportunities where I could have had conversations with people that could have been relevant in some way or another in my life and stuff, where I would just take the safe option, be like, you know what, let me not inconvenience them with conversation or so, or by invading their space, but in actual fact, had I just taken the chance, it would have, you know.
Yeah, would have turned
Networks,
out differently.
networks come from any and everywhere.
Yeah.
The smallest conversation,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tiniest interaction, a like on Facebook, anything at all. What's the saying about
6 degrees of separation.
you're missing the shots you don't take?
Don't know.
Something about you miss 100% of the shots you don't
Yes,
take.
Yeah.
Yes.
of
Yeah.
the
The shots you don't take. Yeah.
Yes.
True.
So that's for me. That's more. I'm leaning more toward that.
Yeah, and it is crazy how much opportunities and networking there comes from just speaking to people about. Someone said to me last week that they've just done a network. They're busy reading a networking book, a book on networking or something, and they said the biggest point is going with a sense of curiosity. And if you go into a conversation, even if you're an introvert or an extrovert, with a sense of curiosity, really wanting to understand, then you sort of attract people open up to
Yes.
you.
Yeah, because you
and-
genuinely want to know what's
Yes.
rather than
It's genuine.
coming in with your set
Yes.
or what you think is.
I recently stumbled into a friend. I'm nursing my sick dog. I went to a service station. I find him working there, and I've been emailing a dog food brand in South Africa. I've been meaning to partner with them. I've tried their Instagram pages, email. It seems they just have automated responses. So I figured I'd come at it another angle someday, eventually. And I walk to the service station and buy airtime, and I bump into a childhood friend. We've kept contact over the years, but I asked him how. We spoke about work, and then right before I walked away, I'm like, "How are you?" And it's like, "What are you doing in this workspace? What is?" It's like, "No, this is what I do," and what. And then the more he spoke about his work, the more he mentioned dogs, and then he mentioned that he works for the lady who is the main supplier of that dog food brand. So essentially, through this conversation, just out of nowhere, 10 o'clock in the morning,
The link was created.
10 o'clock in the morning, I'm wearing my PJ pants. The service station is like 100 meters away from where I live. And I end up getting a contact that now allows me to change my life in such a way that I get to achieve a dream of mine that I've had, that I've been sleeping on. This was, what, a week and a half ago?
Yeah.
And we had a conversation, but I had to actually come back and be like, you know what, just out of curiosity, how are you?
Yes.
Tell me, how are you?
Yeah. Cool.
Except for the small talk that we did and and
Exactly.
all of that. How are you as a person? And boom. Then he ends up linking me and fascinating.
That's really cool.
That is cool, huh? The things happen as they should.
What are some of the, let's get back to the...
What are the biggest lessons you have
Question.
learnt in the past? I don't know. There's many lessons. I guess that was definitely one of them for me. The other thing is not to put expectations of how you want things to be. Literally be open to the situation as it is, like with your conversation there now, where you literally, so now you go into something and you need it to go a certain way because that's how you want it. And then when you get to that situation, it doesn't turn out the way you want it, and then you're either frustrated or
you almost disconnect.
You're disconnected. So you literally go into it with a like, okay, let's see where this takes me. And then that's a tough one because we always wanted to go somewhere. This is where I wanted to go. But that's been a big one for me.
Shawn, I must agree with, like, when you read that question, that was the first thing that popped into my head. Because with so many things, like, my life has taken on so many new chapters, and every time I already had my envisioned life and how things will turn out, and then it does not turn out that way. It comes with a lacquer swing. And then I literally have to be like, you know what? Okay, so now it didn't turn out that way. But then it's so difficult because now you have to rethink all these thoughts of the future you already had with this idea in mind. You have to rethink them because now it's not like that anymore, you know? So it's really a hard one for me, and that's really a lesson.
And it also pulls it down because it's like, it didn't, what if I failed? Is it not right?
Exactly.
What it is? It's like, no. You're a character in this play.
Exactly.
You aren't the play.
You're also not the producer.
Exactly. You're just there. You're a character, part of the whole symphony.
Exactly.
And like she asked earlier, like how I got into dogs, and I always struggled. I've done 1,000 interviews regarding that topic, but I always struggled to lay down an exact story as to what the transition was, because it was a sequence of events, but it had nothing to do with how I had projected my life. I was in the corporate space for the longest time. I worked for Standard Bank up until 3 years ago, and nothing like what I envisioned. And now I'm living a life that's just, like you said, let's see where this goes. Let's see how, let's just see. Let's see. Apply yourself as much as you can. Yes. Be pure in it, apply yourself fully, and let's see how it goes. And this is tricky as a man, especially, I feel. Trying to navigate, like I'm 32, so is there such a thing as TMI? Are we? Okay, too much information? Are we covering?
No, you can bring it all out.
In the personal space, in the personal dating space, for example, when you meet a 28, 29-year-old woman and you tell her about how you're navigating your life, checking as to how it goes, it doesn't sound very promising. It doesn't sound like you have it figured out and that your prospects are great for a future that you're trying to build, you know. So already there, it seems like a bit of a red flag, but that is the reality.
But you know
I can't phrase it any better.
I have a daughter now, okay? I'm a new mother, so she's turning 1. But I would much rather for her to be with someone like that, who's questioning and who's who has self-awareness. Because otherwise you're just chasing the figure, and you want to be at that figure by that time, that car, that this, the template. It's boring in the first place. But secondly, it's you're chasing a version of success that someone else has defined for you that you've never questioned. So what else in your life aren't you going to question? And it's just more real. And you know what? Life can give you blows, even if you have that perfect job, the perfect whatever.
Yes.
So, but if you're able to live with integrity, I don't know, I think it's I think it's great, and I think the right person, you will much more likely attract the right person, which is actually a good thing.
It's just been interesting observing
Yeah.
how, you'd have a conversation with somebody and you'd watch how the energy switches and
Yeah.
you know,
Because we always were told you needed to have X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Like at
By
school already,
this
they're telling
age,
you,
yes.
what do you want to be? You're like, I don't even know what I'm now. I'm going to know what I'm then.
I like football.
Like, relax. Let me just get through today.
Yeah.
And then they put that pressure on you. And then life says, like, by this age you need to have this. Like you said, you have these requirements. And then people feel they've failed because they haven't reached these check boxes. They're showing the whole world, look, I've reached, look what I'm doing, as a compromise to show, like, look, I've actually, shit, I've made it. And then they like, there's this, it breaks it down. But be honest and say, hey, listen,
I'm figuring it out.
let's go for it. We're all figuring it out.
Yeah. I think
true
this
story.
goes really well with our next question, which is mine, because I already peeked.
Ay.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to keep mine first, because I think it's very...
Okay. Can I go?
Yeah,
Can I
you
take
can
mine?
go.
Okay. If you could have a look 30 years into the future, what do you hope to see for yourself?
30 years.
30 years into the future.
So this is like what we just spoke about.
In
So for
reverse.
me, yeah. So for me, I would, 30 years from now, what I see is, I would love to have a memory bank full of quality time moments with the people that I love. Saturdays in the garden, traveling to an interesting place, or a weekend in Swakop where we're eating ice cream on the beach. I don't know, I'm a big experience person, and quality time is very important for me. So I would love to go and travel Italy with my family one day, where we have to make our own pasta and to grow tomatoes and learn history and show my children a completely different world. But also spend time on the farm, just in nature. So 30 years from now, for me, it's important to have all those memories. And even now, some nights when it's difficult and she's crying a lot, or I just remind myself, this is 10 minutes in the bigger scheme of things. But the bigger memory that I want to remember is the good times.
Yeah.
And I've got hours and hours of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me it's memories, good memories.
Sure.
And you guys?
Beautiful.
Shawn?
I don't know, because that's like totally opposite of. I don't know. I would say likewise. I would just want to know that I've done the best I could have done. Like I've tried to live the full life, like not have any regrets. That would be, or as little as possible regrets. I think that's no necessary expectations, but literally hoping that time that I had, which is so blessed, is used to the full. And not necessarily only for the good stuff, Just that's where I think we also get it so wrong, because
Exactly.
the hardest metal is forged in the hottest fires. So it's also used the tough times and the good times to have to have enjoyed that time. So and I guess short of it is literally just to have used every minute that I could. Just look back and say, well done. Good.
I think for me, having transitioned into entrepreneurship, or into something that I genuinely wanted to do, or finally want to do, at the age of 28, I think I would love to, 30 years from now, I would love to just get to a point where I know that I fully applied myself in the time that I had, because what I'm doing, I feel, is very physical, and you can only be as productively active for so long. So should I get to a point where my body slows down, I want to have done as much as I could, explored all the ideas that I've had, because I grew up a very creative kid, and even in the corporate space, I struggled to just do my little bit of my 10% and go home. I struggled so much. So I hope that in 30 years' time I could have accomplished and just expressed as much of myself and my mind and that I possibly could, because knowing how I've set it up to work out, it also places a lot of people around me in positions of employment and just be in a position to help people with what I'm doing, essentially.
Beautiful.
Be on a farm somewhere with a lot of dogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just
With
want
a
to
lot
be
of
on a
dogs.
farm.
Yeah. Knowing
Not with
that,
a lot
yeah.
of dogs, but
Man, just got people working everywhere around me, and I'm happy with my dogs. I
that's
can watch
sweet.
TV, and yeah,
nice.
that's about it.
There's always got to
What
be a
yourself?
soppy story, so I'm
Yeah.
going to give it to you.
You go.
Yeah.
In 30 years, I'm going to be 64 and my daughter's going to be 30 years old. And I just hope that we can make it till there, because I didn't make it to 30 with my mom and she wasn't 64. So,
Yeah, that's a time. That's why you have to. You love that every moment.
Yeah.
My daughter, funny enough, came to me yesterday, and she was lying there with me, and she's 12, and she says to me, "Happy, how old are you again?" And I was like, 50. She's like, "So in 30 years, if
Oh,
you
my
live a
God.
long life, you'll still be here." I was like, "I hope so." So same. It's like,
yeah.
sure, okay, wow, that puts it in perspective.
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
That's always been the scariest thing
Yeah.
for me to think
course.
of, like my child growing up without a mom or me losing her, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think about that often because, yeah.
You don't go there.
Yeah,
Then
I
it's
don't
again
wanna go
about
there.
those moments. You're just spending every single
Yes.
moment with that and
Yeah.
making every moment count.
Yeah.
That 1 minute is worth 10 years if it's
Exactly.
done, spent correctly.
Yeah, and just like Chrisna said now, you know, those 10 minutes, I mean, what are they really? Just, and sometimes I find myself like enjoying that moment. I'm like, oh, your cry is so
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Okay, you can stop now.
Yeah, you can really stop.
Okay, that's enough. 5 minutes is.
Matthew, do you want to do your question? Let's do no more tears now.
What can you do today to shift your life in the direction you wish to see?
Sure. A lot of future dreamy questions.
I think, so I'm a strategist in my daytime and in my job. And what a lot of people, what I've seen over and over and over again is client teams or people in their personal capacity or whatever, we all sit with these lists and these dreams and these desires and these objectives and targets and whatever. But I'm a little bit obsessed with the how. And the how for me is really about breaking something down into bite-sized pieces that you can achieve in your day-to-day. Like almost, I have a friend and she once said to me, you know, in their family they talk about nowers. They are nowers. They do things now.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's really cool.
And I was like, what? That's not even a term, but it's so cool, and I never forgot it. And that I've started using that in my work as well with my clients, because what can we do? How can we build this plan? Because it's easy to dream about it and to just have it there on your vision board, or you know, to have that meeting set up for then. But what can you do now that can build towards that? What can you do? If you can do it now, then do it now. So for me, that's quite an important principle. And I'm definitely not great, because I'm also a daydreamer. I'm also very in my head. But it's helped me get a lot of direction. It's helped me to build towards certain things. It's helped me to connect other people. And it's really to get that momentum going and for the ball to keep rolling and to work towards it. And then often what I've seen is life, if you give a step, life will give a step. But if you just remain passive, you're not giving anything, you're not bringing anything to the table. So it can't, so it's almost like that energy, that
It's
pendulum.
blocked.
Yes.
It's blocked.
So it's just putting movement into it, and then it starts.
Exactly.
Then they start to get some flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, to open yourself to that. That's the thing. Yeah, taking bite sizes and open. And I mean, like, we also, the whole time, it's like we're thinking about the destination and not the journey. And when we reach there, we like, I think we approach it differently. So it's like you're saying, break it up and be open to like your experience with that guy.
Yeah.
It's like if you didn't open yourself to that, then these things, the
Wouldn't
next
have-
part of the journey wouldn't have happened.
Absolutely.
Because as far as I was convinced, I did my part. I sent the emails, I went to their Facebook. As far as I could, I went to their products and I would read the numbers on their labels and I would call them like, where do I get you guys? Someone respond, like I'm doing some really cool dog stuff. Talk to me, just hear me out.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then service station.
Yeah.
Random Tuesday morning in PJ pants and my dog on
I
a
love
leash.
that.
I love it.
And my dog on a leash.
So if you take a dog on a leash, how do you decide which dog to take?
Yeah.
How do I?
Decide which dog to take.
Oh no, at the moment I'm only living with my one dog.
Okay.
Yeah, he fell ill, so he had to move into my apartment with me.
Okay.
Just for close medication,
Monitoring. Okay.
for force feeding and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's you gonna do today?
Regarding the question though, what can you do to? I feel like I've aligned my life in such a way that it's set up in the direction I wish to see it go. For the longest time, I conformed to what societal standards deemed relevant, important. I left my job for school. I was properly depressed at the time. And the same depression that got me to leave my job caught up with me at school 6 months in. So that was even before my first exam. And I found myself having to question, now, what are you? Who are you? What do you really like? What do and okay, fine. And the one thing that was relevant was dogs. So, okay, fine. So dogs, what? My name on Instagram was Matthew at the time, Matthew Iipinge, and I'm like, it's not going to sell. So already I started aligning everything. The name changed from Matthew Iipinge to the dog father. And everything became about dogs. All my hashtags, every time I posted a text, even if I DM a girl on Instagram, I'm sending her a little hi with a dog emoji. You will associate me with dogs at any given point. So I've aligned my life in such a way that you don't know me without thinking about dogs. And I trust that in that space, I'll be okay. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But so from a practical perspective, what can I do to shift my life in that direction? So for me, a big thing that I've started to do is I struggled a lot with like brain fog and I just didn't have the right energy. So I went to a doctor recently and I've had blood work done and whatever, and I've changed my diet. And for me, is so empowering. So now I'm dairy intolerant, so I can't drink dairy. And instead of being frustrated with it, I'm like, no, I can really see how it makes me feel better. So I've made that step. I've changed that small thing in my life. And a quote that I heard the other day on a podcast was, every decision you make is a vote of the person that you want to become. You know, so now when I drink my coffee black, I feel good about myself. And then later on in that day, you know, when I have something healthy to eat, I feel good about myself. And physically, I don't have that much brain fog. I've got a lot more energy. So that's really something practical that I did recently within the last month or two. That's made a real difference in my life.
So actively committing to yourself.
Yeah, it was a nice shift. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, guys, I can't think about anything else than children,
It's
baby.
fine. That's where you're there.
That's your space. Own
Live
it.
Yeah,
only
live
thing
it.
I
Own
think.
it.
Own
So
it,
the whole
live
time
it.
I'm thinking like, okay, what can I do today? What? And the only thing I can think about is, so I have to return back to work. So obviously the baby needs to stay with a nanny. And then I was thinking, you know, my ideal future would be me breastfeeding throughout, but obviously that's going to be impractical because I need to be at work. So I needed to do something today in order to have, and what is the desired future that I want to see is obviously a breastfed, or at least breast milk fed baby, right?
Yes.
So I needed to start small, you know, started pumping.
Yes.
Start, you know, building up a little stash for when I'm not there, then she can at least
Exactly.
through the
Have
bottle
access,
still have breast milk, you know, even
Which
though
is
I'm not gonna.
amazing.
And then through that, like, I alleviated so much pressure of myself and stress that I didn't even know I had.
Yeah.
You know, it just felt lighter immediately because that's one less worry about going back to work. So now with parenthood, every day you have to, every moment you have to find a way to make the next hour easier. You know, prep something, go and put out already the outfit that she's going to put on, prepare the bath water, whatever, you know,
Always
like
thinking 10
it's
steps ahead.
always, the whole time. And try to stay in the moment as
Yes,
well, on
no,
top of that.
no. And not take too much advice.
Yeah, no, yes, you
Yeah.
cut that
It's
out.
all these,
Yeah,
all these,
Oh,
like, step
Yeah.
back.
that's the other thing. Yeah, navigating through advice and trusting your self-belief,
Exactly.
which it's sometimes you also question.
Yeah.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing.
Why you question it, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because what I also, something that also relates something to this year, the lesson in the past, which is almost linked to that one, is now to start to look after yourself.
Yes.
And
your gut.
the word selfish and self-love has been so wrongly used. But if you now take the time to look after yourself, then the opposite reaction will happen. What was usually the norm, people say, "Are you being selfish?" Now you look after yourself and you start feeling better. Then that radiates to the people around you. You take the pressure off yourself, and then the people around you come down, and and it just like flows.
Yeah.
But now we're like, I need to, it has to, it must. It's like, no, just
Yes.
breathe.
And it starts with the most basic task of just making up your bed. Like for me, I'm so quick to just get up and go. Just out. I have stuff to do, appointments. This dog needs to get to the vet. This one is training. What I have to be somewhere at any given point. But you realize you have not eaten. Like I had to arrive 30 minutes early. Like
Because when you start
arriving
getting
here.
all like, I haven't eaten. When you're lying on the floor, I haven't eaten.
So I had to sit in the car just to take the time out to eat.
Yeah.
Do some work on my phone. Just really take the time, because I rushed coming here. I rushed my morning. I rushed almost every other morning. But over the past month as well, I've really taken the time out and just be like, you know what, cook for yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Cook for yourself. Take a shower, light a candle, and just appreciate who you are, and do the things that make you who you are and that you really enjoy. Watch your YouTube channels, however weird they may be. They define you.
And enjoy it.
Yes.
So last year or a year before, I did a course called The Artist Way. And part of it is you have to do an artist date once a week.
No.
Do you know how I struggled with that? How messed up is that? I really, really struggled to do an artist date every week. And the course was every Wednesday night we met. And every Tuesday evening I would be like, oh, shucks, I still need to do my artist date. I need to squeeze it in somewhere. And then I'd be like, no, but I had a nice bath last night. That was my artist date.
Yeah.
And that's not good enough.
Yeah.
It's not good enough
You
at
have
all.
to like make time for
You're
yourself.
breaking the mold, and that's hard. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
And then when
guys-
you do it, you're like, come on, why didn't I do this ages ago? Should have done this a while ago.
Do you think it's finally time for my question?
Let's dive into it.
Mine's really cool.
Oh, wow.
How about now?
That's perfect. The timing is
Yeah,
perfect.
that's actually
It led
perfect.
up right
How
up to
about
there.
now?
Yeah, I need to start doing my artist dates. It's actually so funny that we're talking about it because over the weekend I've really had this desire to start being more active. So there are two things I really want to do, and the one's rock climbing and the other one's playing tennis. And I've just been procrastinating, and Saturday I was at a party and I saw my uncle, and he goes for tennis lessons. And I just went to go and sit next to him, and I said, can I please have your tennis coach's number? And he said, yeah, sure, here it is. And now I know I have to phone that guy when I leave here.
How about now?
I have to phone that guy when I leave here. Wow.
Yeah, but it's cool that you got the push from yourself, because sometimes like something else will push you into that, you know, like either your body breaks down completely and then you push to now look after your body better, you know, instead of it being, you know, very dramatic. Then
So my father had a stroke last year, and I think he's 66 or 67, and you know, he was such a hard-working man his entire life, career man, and you always think one day I'm going to do this, one day I'm going to do that, and although he's physically rehabilitated very well, he's still, you know, I can see that it bothers him a lot. And it's so easy to think one day I'm going to be this active
The end
and that
again.
active. And I waited long until I had my first child. I was 35 when I had her. And during that pregnancy, I could see how it affected my body. And it was quite embarrassing and worrying. You know, I had like a very sore back, the whole lower back and this and that and this pain and that pain. And then as soon as she was born, I just thought, no, I need to, you know, you have to look after your body. It's your body's your temple, you know. And
We always think tomorrow's better. It'll be better tomorrow.
yeah, so it's all within that context that I've decided to eat better and to now start exercising. But yeah, now.
Yeah, about now.
Because we always put things off to think it's gonna be better. Like it'll be better tomorrow. I'll have more energy tomorrow, and then things just fall on you, and then eventually you pull down even more, no? Because you got buried under all those things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Just do what you have to do now.
And it also, procrastination also just, I feel it's, I forgot the right phrasing for it, but it's almost being ignorant to not only death, but just life not playing out the way you plan for it, or your week not, you can be like, okay, fine, so I'll skip this appointment on Monday, and I'll go see it on Wednesday, no, I'll go see this person on Wednesday, but there's no guarantee that your week will plan out or run out the way you, when
In fact,
incident
probably
and
not at all.
accident
Yeah.
happen.
Chances are
Probably
good
not.
Even with perfect, with a perfect week, no incidents. I had one of the busiest week planned for my life, and I was so excited for it. I worked out for it. I had a photo shoot happening. There was so much, and I built it up in my mind, and the excitement was just at a maximum. And I got home on a Friday evening with a dog I was living with, PTSD. His leg was broken from a violent incident where they broke into his house. And I come in, I don't know if I startled him or I was late, but long story short, he ends up, I was bitten on my face.
He got you.
Mhm.
Oh my word.
And I continued to work for the next 2 days because it was still sort of busy swelling. And I had stuff to do. But then at some point it became awkward because now I'm showing up with my clients and my brain is very interpersonal. I'm in your living room talking to you about your dog with a swollen eye. It's in purple, it's big and purple. And then I realized I have to take time off now. My body is fully functional, but I have to take time off. And it was one of the hardest times I've had to do. At some point my back was hurting from watching TV and that was uncomfortable to deal with. Like I'm sorry to use the word, but I felt like a bum and I wasn't used to it, but I couldn't do anything about it. And now I'm finding myself having to delegate from home, being even more frustrated at this whole incident. And I'm still with a dog, mind you. So I'm making sure I don't project any of what I'm feeling onto him because we still have to maintain this relationship. I still have to. Long story short, it was one of the hardest weeks in the sense that I had so much planned and with a very active body where I could still do my push-ups and run around the yard and so on. Life halted for me and I had to accept it and I had to work around it. But mentally, it was such a struggle.
But was the week was you were in control of the whole situation,
Yes.
right? Hear what you said earlier.
Yeah.
You want to get to a point where you want to have people that you can, nah? So life is saying to you, okay, you want to do that?
Yeah.
Now let's talk to people.
Now let's talk to
because
people,
you
yes.
want to do everything yourself.
Exactly.
Now we need to
Yeah.
stop you.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to
So
see
now
who's
you have
dog
to
and-
start delegate. I'm the same. I'm someone that just control the situation the whole time, and then you realize, it doesn't work like
doesn't
that.
work. Because
Doesn't
what
work
then
like
when you are forced to be out? Because the one day I'm good, I can work. I had a little bite, I went to the vet, to the hospital, my God. To the hospital. And then they patch me up and I'm like, I'm good. I go to sleep, I come back. The next day I'm at work. The day after that I'm at work. But then later it starts to throb and I realize I'm not okay. Like,
What did the first client say when they saw you? It's like,
you met with sympathy because it's a dog
sure
bite.
you should be.
The vets, however, were a bit awkward because the vets were a bit awkward. I realized. So I walk
'Cause they
in, the
think you're
eyes swollen.
violent.
Of course, I walk in and it's all quiet and the room is so tense. But they know me because I bring them clientele and stuff. So we're good. But this specific day is just tense, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, this specific dog did it because the dog was a client there as well. And like this dog did it, and then oh, all right, and then suddenly
Now I
everybody's
understand.
laughing. And I was like, that's also where I realized that maybe this isn't the best way to be walking around
Yeah.
for your image as a
Yeah.
influencer, as a public figure, let's call it that, and as somebody that's building a brand in the public eye. It's maybe not the best representation because you don't get a chance to explain this to everybody and give them a breakdown as to what happened and how it happened and so on. It just looks like it was Friday, today is Monday, and you have a blue eye.
It's been a good weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Long weekend.
Yeah.
But if we have to go back to the question, because I'm just I'm curious.
Yeah.
So I need to start doing tennis lessons. What do you guys need to start doing now?
Trick question.
Yeah.
How about now?
For me personally, I need to really just spend more time with myself and to find where my happy place is. I don't think it's a place per se. I think it's a state of being, yeah. So whatever that be is, but to take the pressure off trying to hit certain things and do certain things for certain people, but to literally say, okay, it's cool now, just find your space. So it's like that, and that would be, I've started drawing again, which is the first, which has been great fun. And also just like going into, because for the longest time ever, it's been templated.
Yes.
And it's so lost in the purpose is so lost in there that you're now like literally peeling up these layers and trying to. So that for me is literally that going and spending time and don't feel bad about it.
Yes.
Like literally just say, today, like I remember I had a chat with a friend and she was like, but you should be, aren't you going to do this, this and this? And I said, no, today I'm going to do, it's like,
Nothing.
I'm okay with doing nothing today. And she's like, yeah, but it's like the weekend and you should be with a family. Like, no.
I should
These
do
few hours,
nothing.
I'm just doing nothing. Like not nothing, but something for myself. Like
Yes.
I'm not doing something for someone else. That is,
It's so
and then when I'm charged the next day,
Exactly.
my gosh, here we go again. Then there's, because you also block yourself massively. Eh?
Yeah.
Like you'll see now, you'll go and do that tennis, then you'll go like, wow, this is now, I feel, not physically,
parts of
you'll
my
feel
life,
sore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trust me, we did that. I've been doing that as well, been playing more tennis.
Oh, lekker.
Yeah, and but then I connected with someone there that I haven't seen for ages, and then there's something goes from there. So it's all these things that come from these situations, which is cool, because you always, we need to do this, need to do this, need to do this. Just take more time for yourself.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And you too?
You go.
Should I go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my what nows are more mental than anything. I have a therapy session, my first ever, lined up.
Yes.
So I'd like to show up for that. I have
That's
plans to show up for that. But it's not so much that I feel anything is wrong with me. It's just I've never really taken the time out to just properly self-explore until I ran out of options. So before then, I was just cruising through life. I had the car, medical aid and everything. Everything was sorted, so I was just cruising. And then I started asking my what now questions. But after having gone through what felt like, because I was depressed when I started my business, I built it from a dark place. So when I'm not dark anymore, I lose creativity. Because now I'm working toward happiness, but the happier I feel and become, the less hungry and the less fierce I feel. So I'm trying to now have help just navigate my mind in such a way that I don't have to feel the need to lean on darkness to produce beauty. How about I learn to just sort of radiate it in my everyday existence? So
Sure, yeah, that's powerful.
yeah, that's
And I mean, I think therapy is one of the best things. We always send our cars in for a service,
Exactly.
and this, but we don't take the
I spoke
time.
sorry, just to cut you off. I spoke to one of my friends who was like, I don't even understand why you went for therapy. I run. Let's save the money. We go jogging. It'll be great for you. I'm
It's
like,
not the
look, I'm
same."
athletic. I'm good there. It's not the same thing. And I had to send a voice note because we were chatting, and I had to send a voice note to say it's ignorant of me to be a dog professional that can understand how, because I'll come to someone's house and tell me and ask them what's wrong or what's your what problem I'm experiencing with the dog, and I'll have them explain everything that's wrong with the dog, and I'll have a very different perspective on. I'll listen to what you're saying, but I'm decoding in a very different way where I can see how the dog wasn't raised right and what you might be doing as might be doing wrong as the owner of the dog.
Yeah.
And sorry, I don't like to talk about depression.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, we can obviously continue the conversation afterwards.
Yeah.
For me, how about now? My biggest how about now was motherhood. Life was like, you've waited long enough. Now we're going to give this to you, and it's happening. So that was and now everything since then is how about now? How about starting this now and doing that now? And as you know, like, motherhood brings on this whole new person that needs to fit into everything and rethink things, and how am I going to fit this in? And so yeah, every day is a how about now for me now.
She's thinking for her future.